Hello Penguinauts and welcome back to Juno New Origins. My camera angle has changed slightly to better frame not only Charlie the chunky seal behind me. You can't quite see Fred because I'm sat in the way of him, but he's vibing directly behind me, and we've of course got all of my assorted Lego rockets with the ISS at the top, and as you can now see there is a little LK lander there. That's a new thing. So myself and Shadow Zone both bought Blue Bricks LK Lander sets the moment they came out, and we both realized that we we got them independently and coordinated because the instructions weren't quite right. Some parts didn't quite fit together. Of course, it's not sort of the official Lego set. It's not even Lego, but since it's knockoff Lego and genuinely almost as good. Like, some of the pieces were a little tricky to get together, but because the tolerances are a lot larger, it's a lot cheaper. So it was only about 30 quid for that model, the same scale as the Lego Lamb, which I don't own, and I feel I should probably own at this point just to have them next to each other, but same scale, and they look pretty damn good. People are saying Echo. Echo? What Echo? I think that's just you, Black Eagle. You might have two tabs open. Doesn't look like I'm echoing on my audio setup. But hello, everybody. We've got Vector, we've got Mangluten, Fabuki. We've got a plane named after you. Kent Hasden, Black Eagle, of course, Silver Muffins. Floor is here. I met Floor at Space Creator Day, which I was at last week, which is why I didn't stream. But let me add you as a moderator. Floor, because you were cool. There you go. So yeah, I went to Space Creator Day, which was pretty incredible. How much tech points we got? Which tech were we going to get next? I think we were working our way towards planning maneuvers, weren't we? Gantt charts. Yeah, so we need 70. Ideally. But yeah, Space Creator Day was incredible. I went out on the Wednesday. I spent a couple of days with Lat Maun and his partner Beth. We went to Holiday Park and went on the 8th best roller coaster in the world. It's this pretty tiny little family-friendly park just outside Speyer, where the Technic Museum is, and it just casually has the 8th best roller coaster in the world there, Expedition GeForce. It was incredible. It's just like, make one of the world's greatest roller coasters, put it in family-friendly park, mic drop, no further elaboration. It was pretty amazing. And because the park was empty, because it was a random Friday in October, we just didn't even need to get off the ride. We just sat on the ride and just went round and round and round and round. And in the end, we had to get off because just being subject to those G-forces over and over and over and over, like our thighs and like where the barrier was, like we were in genuine pain. This was with Matt Clown, yes. Lat Maun, Matt Clown. His numerous pseudonyms that we have given him. He's a very cool dude. I feel we're good friends at this point. As much as I joke, he is a very cool guy. So I believe we've already targeted Brigo. There we are. And those of you that tuned in last time will remember we are in orbit and we're on approach to Brigo. We were going to go for Luna, but then we realized Delta V margins are a little tight, so we're going to go for the closer moon, Brigo, which is a little more interesting looking anyway. But after Holiday Park and doing a tour of Technic Museum Speyer and seeing the Buran there, of course the GLI atmospheric flight test Buran, not the orbiter. Not the one that actually went to space, or one that was ever intended to go to space, but the one with the jet engines on it. After seeing that and exploring the museum, then on Saturday we had the actual Space Creator Day. And it was awesome. Really, really cool. Absolutely amazing. The only sort of weird thing for me was that people knew who I was. I was planning to go and just enjoy it. Like, I didn't make a video out of it. I know Matt and Shadow Zone are. I was just going to go have fun. So the first person to recognize me was Floor, because Floor actually said on the Discord that they would be there. And then I had like a kid come up to me while I was hanging around with Matt, because he was signing autographs and taking pictures at the sort of area where you did the meet and greet. And this kid comes up to me and sort of gestures to their phone. And I'm like, oh, you want me to get a picture of you and Matt? And they're like, no, I want a photo with you. It's like, oh, you know who I am? Oh, okay. And I recognized maybe about 20 people. It was wild. I've only ever been recognized by 2 people before. One of them was at the esports competition last year, of course, and then another one was at a random pub where I live, a nearby Weatherspoons. Someone recognized me, which was probably the wildest one. That was the only time I've been recognized just in the normal course of my life. But yeah, Space Creator Day, obviously if you're getting recognized anywhere, I'll be there. But yeah, I got recognized by a lot of people. I even signed autographs, which was wild, but I wasn't famous enough to be given a headshot to sign, even though I was told I would. And so I ended up signing pictures of Matt, but the rejected one that he refused to sign, which has him cuddling a blowhigh IKEA shark. So people have pictures of Matt Lown with Kerbal My Beloved written on it, with him cuddling a blowhigh shark, signed the Beardy Penguin. That is a thing that people now own. Yeah, I took lots of photos as well and had some really good chats. And someone unironically walked up to me and said, "When fac?" When's for all Kerbal kind. Because it was in person, I absolutely did not mind just chatting to them about it and telling them about it. And telling them about some of these secret plans we have for it as well. But for those of you that want to know, those of you that tuned in just to learn that, I'm not going to tie myself to a date, but it'll either be the 27th of October or the 3rd of November at the latest. We're back on track now. N9 streamed last night for the first time. You go watch his VOD on Twitch if you want to. We're all getting back into the groove of things. I'm just making some finishing touches to the 1.5 update to the mod pack, and then we'll be getting cracking. We're getting stuck back in on a regular upload schedule again, which I'm really excited for us to be doing. Thank you, N9. Thank you for your ever helpful declarations of solar storms. Right, so we need to actually eyeball our approach to Brigo. Now, we can't burn here because that's actually at our highest point of our orbit, and we tried that last time, and well, we ended up ending up down here somewhere. So we really want to be on the ascending node, which means we want to be burning. We can have a look at the shape of our orbit. I'm having to sort of eyeball this because how can I if I target Brigo, can I then target Drew? Yes, I can. Okay. I gotta eyeball this because I don't have maneuver nodes yet, which is really irritating for advanced maneuvers like this. Okay, so we really want to be burning about here. And so we need Brigo to be about here. Okay. Well, we can time warp that. We don't have any life support to worry about. We may have power to worry about. I am gonna quickly check that. Look at our craft. Battery. Oh, it's fine. Okay, we're not using any battery. Okay, that seems to just be for like attitude control and stuff that you use battery. That's okay. Right. So, Brigo, let's get you sort of around here. Okay, and then as it comes over the horizon, we'll begin burning for it. So, let's lock our target, switch that RCS on. And 9. I want to put a video out on Halloween, but no promises. Ooh, what's the Halloween video going to be? Moon Haunted? Lucky 7 again? Was it Lucky 7 where the moon was haunted? Oh, wow. This auto control really did just massively overcorrect and waste a bunch of RCS. Because we don't have RCS out the wazoo. Where is our RCS? Oh, there it is. So means maybe yeah, okay. I'm not going to use the auto target in future because wow, that was yeah. You can tell it's not using smart ASS. Mechjeb. I don't want to tie myself to a date. Ties himself to a date. I tied myself to 2 dates. Okay, I'm not tying myself down to one. I say it could be this one, could be that one. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to swear by like it will definitely be out on this exact date, but I want to give people a vague idea of when it's going to be because otherwise they get really antsy. And there we go. New BD PC. So that's the reason why I can confirm it won't be out this weekend or possibly next weekend. Because I'm going to be ordering the bits for and assembling a new computer. So really, it coming out on time is entirely dependent on how smoothly that goes. It should be fine. It should be fine. I'm not like installing a new operating system or anything like that. It should be relatively smooth. And I know what I'm doing at this point. But yeah, pretty big computer upgrade, moving to a 9th gen Ryzen with the actual memory on the CPU, which apparently are amazing for gaming, DDR5 RAM, and lots of it. So really, it's not going to be the fastest RAM, it's going to be the RAM with the lowest latency. Because really, it's less for productivity, although that obviously is a factor with videos and everything. But really, it's just building a PC for the future of playing modded KSP, particularly modded Realism Overhaul, Realistic Progression KSP, because particularly with the visual mods like RSS Reborn, it's just eating more and more and more memory. I'm going to go from 32 gigabytes all the way up to 128, which is a ludicrous amount of memory for anyone who doesn't play Realism Overhaul with visual mods. Even my manager at work, and this is in the software department of the company, was like, that is an ungodly amount of RAM. No one needs that much RAM. And I was like, trust me. Yeah, I play Kerbal Space Program with mods. Yes, I do. And I need a very beefy CPU as well. Not so much beefy on the graphics card side. Thing is, I thought my CPU would be more than good enough to future-proof my PC for an extra 5 years on top of how long it's already lasted me. And then KSP2 came out, and they moved the physics onto the GPU. So I went and bought a disgustingly good GPU. I bought a 30 series when the 40 series came out, so I got it bargain bin prices. I got a 3090 for 600 quid, which is really, really good because I got retailed 2 years earlier for 3,500. So I was pretty happy with that. But I was like, okay, fine. Okay, you know, I still don't need to upgrade my CPU. That's fine. I just upgrade the GPU. And then KSP2, you know, KSP2'd. And we're back to KSP1 with increasingly demanding mods. So I need a better CPU again. So part of me is like, I probably never should have really bought that GPU. But on the other hand, it makes my video editing so much faster, particularly the amount of VRAM it has. Which is an insane amount on the 3090. And I bought the professional version of DaVinci Resolve, my editing software, which means I can use GPU acceleration, so it massively speeds up my rendering of my videos, so massive increase to productivity. Really, I just need to increase the load times of KSP. Like, that's the context switching in Realism Overhaul with all the mods we have is getting pretty insane. The time it takes to load up a new scene, that's where I spend most of my time. And KSP just eating memory. So having more memory, having faster memory on top of my already very lightning fast M.2 SSDs the game is on should hopefully speed things up. Fingers crossed. Because yeah, particularly what's getting back into For All Kerbal Kind now, I really want to speed up the time it takes to make episodes, and really there's a lot of time just wasted in menus and the like. And we have some rule changes as well to do with launch sites. Like, instead of having multiple launch sites, you have to go to the tracking station and swap between to, you know, deal with different launch lines and everything. We just got one launch site now, and you just use Kerbal constructs to launch at launch pads at the other sites. But you don't have separate build queues and other entire space centers. You have one space center, and then you can just launch to Kerbal Constructs pads at other locations. And you represent those by building a new KCT pad at the Space Center. And that's just going to save us so much time. Like, it takes, actually, when you add it all up, a lot of time to just keep going out to the tracking station, swapping your space center, configuring your stuff in that space center, swapping back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And yeah, it's going to actually save us a lot of time. So we're sort of making a bunch of efficiency improvements, really, to how we make the videos and speeding up production. It looks like we're going to get our close approach here, though, which I am very happy about. Hell yes. Oh, we nailed that. Inclination. Nice. Didn't quite nail the timing, but that's okay. Okay, here we are. Let's just tweak that encounter. And Nine's going to stream in 6 hours. Wow. Man really is serious about getting back into full couple kind. Nice. Let's get that approach as close as possible. What Legos do I have behind me? So, we've got the Saturn V on the left. We've got the N1, same scale next to it. Then we've got the new Artemis set. Not quite the same scale, which does irritate me, but it has the launch tower. So that's pretty cool. And that's on the right. Then we've got the R7 that launched Sputnik. We've then got the Vostok, which launched the first man in space. And then we've got Soyuz, the modern derivative of the same launch vehicle. So we've got the little family of R7 launches. We've got Buran, but it's not the Discovery set. It's a custom MOC, not by me, but by someone else. And it's at the same scale as all the other rockets, except for Artemis. Again, that's the problem child of the group, but it's at 1:110 scale, the same as the rest of all those rockets, except Artemis. Then at the top, we have the LEGO ISS, except I've added the Nauka module, and I've changed some of the visiting vehicles and things. I've made it a little more accurate to the ISS's final configuration before it gets deorbited. And then we have the LK lander, which I'll give you guys a closer look at later in the stream, perhaps, if you are interested. Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. We'll go for a nice 30-kilometer orbit. I don't really know what our inclination... Yeah, so it's going to sort of go polar. But without maneuver nodes, we can't easily adjust that beforehand. Or maybe we can. Oh, so it's our inclination, really. So maybe when we get to this point where we cross the same boundary, that's where we want to make that correction. So basically where we cross its orbit, inclination-wise, and far away, because the further away you are in a gravity well, the more efficient an inclination change is. So yeah, about here, we'll do an inclination change, and that should bring us along the equator. Because we want to try and land equatorial if we can. It just makes getting back to orbit and then back to Drew a little bit easier. Right, let's switch the RCS off because we're burning through that at an alarming rate. 65%, okay. We're okay. But I do want to be careful. Right. Here's our little intrepid spacecraft with our single crew member Yuri G on board. Of course, standing for Yuri Gagarin. Just lock the current heading. I do like that you can lock headings during time warp. That is nice. Can we please talk about how boring and uneventful last Sunday was? Yeah, I don't think anything of note happened last Sunday. Funny thing is, I think I have some kind of sixth sense for rocket launches. And I say that because Starship Orbital Flight Test, I believe it was 3. I had COVID and I was ill at home and on the sofa. And I suddenly thought to myself, oh, I think Starship's going to launch today. At least it was meant to. Let's just boot up YouTube and see what's on. Click, and then it's T-minus 15 seconds. I timed it perfectly. And I kid you not, they said at Space Creator Day, because we had NASA Spaceflight there, who has a little bit of insider knowledge. Oh, FAA has approved the launch license. It's going to go ahead, weather permitting. And so I was on the coach to the airport, and I suddenly thought, oh, let me just check if Starship's actually going to go ahead with the launch today. Open my phone, and it's T-minus 2 minutes. And like the coach, like as I'm getting off the coach, they're doing the countdown, and I'm there like, oh, got my rucksack, okay, and I'm like walking off the coach with my phone in front of me, and I go off to one side, and I'm like, have I got time to still get through airport security? Yeah, it's fine, I can sit down here and watch the launch, just like next to the coach stop, and then watch the catch, which just I like laughed out loud at a random coach station in Frankfurt. I like looked around me, and there were other people watching the launch on their phones as well. I think it was 2 other people were also watching it, and there was just like a shared glance of just 2 random German people. And so then went through security, sat down, got to the gate really, really quickly because I didn't have to check in any luggage, and then sat down and then watched it get to orbit, watch the re-entry, and then the landing. But wow, it just absolutely blew my mind. I didn't think they'd do it first time. I really didn't. I thought they would start the approach and then there'd be something anomalous and they would have bought into the ocean. I was so sure that was going to be like the sequence of events. But my oh my, was I wrong. I think we warped a little bit past where I wanted to do our inclination change. Yes, we did. No matter. You know what, I'll just wait till I'm in orbit. I mean, that would just be easier, wouldn't it, to rotate the orbit then? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Still not going to be an expensive maneuver. Hello, Brigo. So we have entered its sphere of influence before, I believe. We got a little flyby gravity assist from its cousin Luna. So I do like that it shows you what direction your spacecraft is pointing on the map view. That is a nice feature, actually. I really like that. Lets you orient yourself in space. That's nice. Okay, so let's unpause and then reorient the spacecraft. And then we're going to rotate our orbit around and try and get into a roughly equatorial orbit. It's not going to be perfect because we didn't do our inclination change a little earlier, but I do want it just heading over the equator, and we can try and land somewhere roughly equatorial. Just makes getting into orbit again a little bit more efficient. People talking about for all Kerbal Kind schedules. When are there going to be new for all Kerbal Kind episodes? So I've already said once this stream, it's going to be the 27th or 3rd that you get the next episode, and then you should be getting them either a week apart or 2 weeks apart. So we're aiming for 4 weeks from each of us between episodes, but staggered. And at most 6 weeks. So if it's 4 weeks and there's 3 of us staggered, you know, it'll be 1 to 2 weeks. If it's six weeks, then it's going to be staggered at every 2 weeks. So there should be 1 or 2 weeks between episodes from each of the 3 of us going forward. We think that's a very achievable schedule, particularly with our improvements to the mod pack and everything, and sort of streamlining our production. We think that's very doable. Again, it's going to slip sometimes, but that's going to be our rough schedule going forward. Why is this so difficult to control? There we go. Okay. Let's bend this orbit. How much delta V we currently got? 675 meters per second. And this stage is only designed just to get us into orbit, so if we manage that much, we're doing well. Okay. Just quickly rotate this. Good enough. Good enough. Our periapsis doesn't quite go over it, but it does go over this giant Death Star crater. Which I don't really want to land in because it's in the dark side right now. I don't know if Brigo is tidally locked to Drew or not. Are there any other points of interest? Yeah, there's this far side thing we could land at. What's this? Cocoa Mountains. We can go explore the Cocoa Mountains. And actually, that's a pretty good orbit to be in to go explore them. So, perfect. Going to be in a roughly 50-kilometer orbit. That's absolutely fine. Let's just turn that. There we go. Okay. What's our time to periapsis? Not applicable, apparently. Okay. So I just have to pin it here. I don't know how long exactly it's going to take us to burn to orbit. How long is it going to take us to burn this stage? 2 minutes. And this stage is basically going to put us in orbit. So we'll start burning a minute before. We need some time to orient the spacecraft first, though. So we'll get 2 minutes. Okay, let's reorient this thing. So we need to change to our retrograde. Do one little pulse of the RCS. Imagine if it starts glowing and lasers appear aiming at Drew. That would be funny. But somehow I doubt that's going to happen. I don't think it's a concern. Okay. And about 60 seconds before, we'll start burning that engine. Get ourselves on our landing approach. This is exciting. Just gonna quick save. In case I do something stupid. Good to see you streaming. I'll watch later when I have the time. Well, these all get uploaded. They're unlisted. But they're in a public playlist. So you can all access them whenever you need to. I just don't like the idea of flooding my YouTube page with a bunch of streams when they're not sort of big one-off streams, like regular weekly streams. You know, people who are gonna want to go watch them after the fact will know how to go find them, I reckon. People who are dedicated to watching the series, they know where they're all stored. They're in the public playlist. You get a playlist and you can go in there and you can view them all. So anyone who wants to go watch them can find them. But nobody's gonna like find my channel through a publicly recommended stream VOD, you know? I just think it keeps my channel a little tidier. I can probably do without the RCS, because the engine I think has gimbal. Maybe it doesn't have gimbal. I think I might have removed the gimbal to save on weight. I did indeed. Okay. I removed gimbal. Tier 1 of Brigo orbits by exceeding 1. Aha! Yeah, because we've orbited Luna, but we haven't actually orbited Brigo before. Nice. That's 20 tech points for us and a bunch more because this is a crewed mission. You get bonus tech points if you have crew. You completed the contract Brigo orbit! Very nice. Now, we can't really accept a landing contract, so I assume it would be to launch a new craft, but we will go have a look in a second. But once we're in orbit, how much delta V have we got? Oh, actually got a bit spare. You actually have delta V to spare. Very nice. I forget that engines don't switch off instantly in Juno like they do in KSP. There's a little bit of spool up and spool down time. I should be used to it playing Really does some overhaul though. Okay, we can get to those cocoa mountains. I have to do a little bit of an inclination change as we come down, but that's doable. Or we could just sort of land nearby. I don't think it's that massive. Probably have the Druid just get their jetpack out and go exploring. Right. Let's have a little look at this before we head back to our space center. Ooh, that little chocolate snowball. This game really does look beautiful. There's something about the minimalist style of it. It really does look gorgeous at times. And it has better terrain textures than stock KSP, that's for sure. Even just out of the box. Nice. Right. We're just going to save the flight and see if we can get a new contract. So splashdowns to, yeah, unlock the port. That's fine. Got Brigo orbit. Do we have to return them? Or is this? Oh, this is another one. You have to launch a new craft. Ah, so this is a smaller, more circular orbit. We've already done this though. Maybe after we land, we'll get a landing contract for future. You can easily outpace the contracts and get the text fast. Yeah, I mean... Oh, hello. The dynamic LOD is rearing its ugly head. It's just casually increasing the terrain textures. It might take a hot minute. Or is that really what Brico's going to look like? I think it should wake up in a second. There we go. Okay. Yeah, this is why I need more memory as well, because you can allocate a whole bunch of memory to Parallax, the mod for Juno, as well as for KSP, and it means it sort of stores a bunch of stuff instead of having to generate it at runtime. It stops that like stutter on loading craft. But I think there was just like some condensation on the command pod glass, and Yuri just wiped that away. That's how I'll explain it. So, I don't really know when to begin our descent. I mean, going off just eyeballing, I guess it'd be around here. Like, usually it's about sort of 2 minutes ahead. This entire orbit is about... Take 7 away from that. It's about 50 minutes. So half is 25, quarter 12 and a half. Six minutes. So yeah, no, about here. About here. We want to start burning. And as we descend, we can do an inclination change. We have spare delta V in this stage. This stage was only meant to get us into orbit, so we're actually a little ahead of the curve, which is nice. Oh, the nav ball changes color depending what body you're orbiting. That's fun. I hadn't noticed that. That's really cool. That's a real cool little detail. I like that. Okay. We are go for power descent. I reckon it was about here, wasn't it? Yeah, that's about right. And we want to change our inclination northwards slightly. So we want to burn about here. Maybe we'll be able to see the target we're aiming for in a minute. Regardless, here we go. That's what we're going to go for. do this. A little bit more north, a little bit less of the retrograde. Yeah, it's close enough, I reckon. Okay, how much delta V we got? 30 meters per second left in this orbital stage. That's okay. I don't quite know how to do a suicide burn. Wow, this thing really is just the Death Star. It's even got a trench. It's got the giant super laser crater, and it has a trench. It's just a Death Star moon. It's definitely their intention. Okay, let's keep an eye on our actual staging. Here we are. So, the next stage, we'll fire those 3 engines to couple the interstage, deploy the landing legs. Yeah, that's fine. We're actually going upwards slightly right now. We'll wait till we get a little bit closer. This isn't going to be the most efficient approach. I still don't really see exactly what we're aiming for. It slips slightly into the night side. Which isn't ideal. I mean, I kind of want to land on the Terminator and then we'll just do a little voyage with the Drood. To be fair, I mean, it doesn't matter though. They don't have life support. So we can just land and then we can just time warp around to the day side. That's fine. Okay, we should probably start burning a little bit retrograde. I'm not gonna burn upwards, that's a waste of fuel. Just lose our lateral velocity. Okay, and that's that stage gone. And now our landing stage. Our landing gear is slightly longer than our nozzles. So we don't exactly see what we're aiming for. It's all a bit dark, and I did not put lights on this thing. That may have been an oversight. Why didn't I just wait till it orbited round? We don't have life support, we could just wait till it was here and directly under our orbit. Yeah, that wasn't the brightest move, was it? New Wallace and Gromit trailer? What? I knew there was a new movie coming out. But I didn't realize they'd already released a trailer. That's cool. Get ready for a blind landing. Yep. Hold on tight. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. What are we aiming for? I can't see anything. Should be almost directly below us now. Is that Mount Choco down there? Maybe. Doesn't look too different to the surrounding terrain, but then again the sun isn't shining on it, so I don't know. This is not going to be the most efficient descent. I'll tell you that now. No, I don't like this. I don't like this. We're gonna try that again and do what I said we should have done the first time. Vengeance Most Foul. That's it. It's got Feathers McGraw in it again, hasn't it? I remember them announcing it. Yeah, we're just gonna wait until that's like over here somewhere, because that makes way more sense. If you target the landmark, it marks the radius in the flight view. Does it? Well, we're going to avoid it now anyways. I don't know why I didn't just target it anyway. Ah! Well, that's useful. Okay, let's time warp until this thing is nearer daytime. Our orbit's still not going to go directly over it, but that's fine. Maybe we should go for that one. Because that one will actually... We're in such an awkward orbit, actually. We're in exactly the wrong orbit to land at these landmarks. Yeah, we can wait till this goes to the day and we can do an inclination change. That's fine. Wait till it's just like right on the Terminator and then we'll just do an inclination change. It's fine. I just really don't want to land in the dark, but I also want to land, ideally, at a landmark. Is this the normal? It is the normal. Okay. It's fine. We can use the fuel in this stage. All the fuel in the lander stage is designed for landing. We can afford it. We can afford to make up for my stupid mistakes. There we go. A bit further. Perfect. It'll move a little bit by the time we get around there, but that's okay. Right, that's a bit better. You know, I'll even quick save there because we've got... How much fuel we got left? Oh, we got loads. It's fine. Okay. So, probably want to start burning... What about here? Yeah, that's fine. We got a bit more time to cut the engine and cruise. Well, so you have to think about this a lot harder in full carbon kind because you have limited ignitions to work with quite often and very limited delta V budgets. But you also have Kerbal Engineer, which for most engines, not all engines, sometimes it bugs out, but for most engines gives you a reasonably accurate suicide burn, or hover slam as SpaceX calls it, estimate. Right, here we go. Burn the engine, burn the rest of the fuel in this orbital insertion stage. Cool, we can lose that. Fire up our landing stage. Here we go. Landing in the daylight. That's going to make it a little easier for you guys to watch as well. I was really thinking of the viewing experience because YouTube does not do well with dark video. I could turn the ambient light up a bit, but you know what? I might just do that anyway because the spacecraft is looking a little dark. Is it in quality? Doopy doopy doo. Physics, shadows, terrain, lighting effects. No, maybe it was in game. Ah, here we go. Ambient light in space. We'll just up that to 120. How's that? Is that easier to see, guys? Yeah, that's a bit better. As I said, YouTube doesn't do well with dark video. So although I can see things on my screen, I am just conscious of people not being able to see things on theirs. There we go. Yeah, it's because sorry I was saying night's a challenge. It's it's a balance to strike between getting the game not looking really jank when you've got like a really bright vehicle in Eclipse, but also making it so your viewers can actually see it. And sometimes it's hard to tell, strike that balance between it looking good and it actually being visible, because you don't know quite how much of a number YouTube's compression is going to do on something sometimes. It's a bit better, yeah. Turn on the lights. Yeah, if only I'd put lights on this. I don't know if I've unlocked any lights though. We do need to adjust our trajectory slightly northward, or we're actually going to miss these Cocoa Mountains. I mean, maybe we don't want to land directly on them, but we are going to kind of miss them. Yeah, maybe landing nearby and just getting the Druid to walk to it or jetpack to it is a better idea. Yeah. Alright, let's cut that engine. Let's wait till we get a little bit closer before we continue burning. Otherwise we're going to waste a lot of fuel. It's a good time to quick save, I reckon. There we go, 1.81 kilometers a second. I think we're going to be fine. We got plenty of fuel. Okay. The thrust to weight ratio of this stage isn't amazing. Okay, there's our Cocoa Mountains. This retrograde marker, am I reading it wrong? Is it this way? Oh, it's this way up. Of course it is. He's got the W in the numbers. So that shows you what direction the actual ground is, because that's the color of the ground of the... Okay. I was reading it backwards. I think it's just the color changing just threw me. Okay. I really wish I had a suicide burn estimate here, but we're just gonna have to kind of wing it. We can live a little lack of view for a bit. We're out of the dock soon enough anyway. Yeah, that's why I wanted a quick load and load one where you could kind of see the descent, otherwise it might be a little bit disappointing. Thinking about the VOD as well. We haven't started burning too late. This actually might be a little on the close side, considering how slowly our speed is ticking down. We've only got a thrust to weight ratio of 1.17. Ah, okay, so now we can see where we have to get to. Now, we're not going to land in that, but we will have a Druid fly there, because I think the gravity is low enough that we can just use the jetpack. They've got plenty of jetpack fuel. We're going to land within a few kilometers. They can walk that. / jetpack it, that'd be fine. We're going to aim for this sort of flatter terrain over here. I think that's going to be our best bet, and that's pretty much exactly where we're headed right now. A little fast for my liking, actually. Why is our thrust to weight ratio going down? It should be going up as we're burning more fuel. We might need to light our extra engine. Yeah, we are absolutely going to hit the ground. We can transfer fuel later. Let's ignite that engine. Oh boy. Oh boy. Throttle them up. Throttle up to 120. I know they're going to take heat damage, but we're going to take a lot more damage in a second. Well, We waited way too long to start burning there. Wow, okay. I didn't realize how measly our thrust to weight ratio was. Thought it was more than high enough. Apparently no. Okay, Cocoa Mountains, target it. People saying GG, slight miscalculation. Yeah. Say that again. Okay. I think let's start burning immediately this time. Low thrust to weight ratio landers are always really tricky. Particularly on real scale bodies with how much lateral velocity you have. It took a while, a lot of simulations to get the knack for those in Full Carbon Kind. You'll notice a lot of those lunar, like early lunar probe descents as they're coming in, like they start burning and they keep burning all the way down to then a soft touchdown. Very little throttling right at the end. Like it took a while to figure out the exact altitude to start the burn at and how to time it right. Because they don't have the best thrust to weight ratios. Right, we can accelerate this a little bit. Hopefully we won't need to throttle up the engines. I mean, how long can you keep the engines throttled up for, is my question. So now we've started burning like way too early. Yeah, that's a little too early, really. Okay, so we can time warp a little bit. Okay, I checked that we have enough time to do this burn, so we're going to be fine. But I think third time's the charm. We're going to do it while we are... Well, how far are we now? So we're 67 kilometers away. Let's start the burn at like... What? 50? I don't know what point we started at the first time. Better too early than too late. Yeah, you say that. We don't have huge delta V margins. If we start burning too early, we genuinely might run out of fuel. Like it is a concern. But yeah, we don't need to overburn the engines. It is nice that you can choose to over throttle your engines though. That's fun. Start burning at 45. I reckon that will be plenty of time. Yeah, that just gets us a little bit closer. Because our druid is going to have to get out and walk, so don't want it to be too bad. Karnassa's here! Hello! You are just in time for our first ever landing on another celestial body. The first time we landed a little bit hard. The second time we started burning a little bit too early. This one might be right. Might be Goldilocks, or we might be screwing this up. I mean, the engines survived being overburned last time for the final descent, so you know what, screw it. Let's overburn them again. We've improved our thrust to weight ratio. Let's see if we can slow down a little bit faster. I feel like we're still going to end up smeared across the surface here. Could ignite this final engine. I feel like it's still a little bit too... Yeah, okay, so 45 is much too late. First ever impact. Yep, first ever crude impactor. Yeah, okay. So we'll start at 55. We'll try 55 instead. I do like that there's no like massive slowdown in KSP before the impact, and it's really laggy, which is like, you know, the best part of the game is watching things blow up. And in KSP it's kind of underwhelming because the game slows to an absolute crawl. You get the massive lag spike before the impact. I like that in Juno it's very smooth. Right. We'll try 55. And you open the console on the top right to see how much damage they're taking. What, the flight info panel? Flight log? Can we resize this? Oh yeah, we can. Okay, we'll open the flight log, and then we can keep track of how much damage things are taking, apparently. Right, we'll try 58-ish. Go 57, sure. Let's try that. If we can get away without overburning our engines, that would be ideal. Flight log. Okay, yeah, it is that. Brigo impact accrued. Hopefully we shouldn't need to overburn our engines. I mean, these side tanks, we're not even going to need them for ascent. So we can use all the fuel in them. We got a lot of Delta V in them as well, so we should be fine. Crazy what a difference of a couple kilometers makes, isn't it? Because now we're going to be absolutely fine. We're actually angling for a nice flat piece of terrain here, so I think this will be just fine. Remind me never to build a low thrust to weight ratio lander again, though. Crikey. I say that. Approaching the ground pretty fast again. Let's just give ourselves a bit more to work with. A bit more oomph. Okay, we've got 4 kilometers to go. No, we just need to control our vertical velocity a little bit better. Because, yeah, I feel like we're going to smear into the surface again. They overheated. What was that about, like, getting detailed heat damage? Oh, okay, so you can see a total damage. Is that like an ongoing tally? It overheated and exploded. Okay, right. We should probably keep an eye on how much heat damage things are taking. That might help. Okay. So, really, okay, we are actually just going to start burning almost immediately. And then if we need to throttle down, we can throttle down. But, yeah, it seems like actually, no, we're going to need all the performance we can get. IFT3 POV. Perhaps best to steadily lower the orbit and go slowly in the vertical. Yeah, you know, yeah, we're just gonna just play it safe. If we need to throttle down, we can throttle down, but our thrust weight ratio is actually so low on this thing because our engines are so limited. That yeah, we're just gonna. I mean, can we set up fuel transfer here between these different parts? So if I do this, I think we just put ourselves off balance. Oh no, I set this one. Whoops. We want that one. There we go. And then if I set this one to fill, then I ignite this engine. Will it keep it full? Yes, it will. Okay, cool. So we're going to have some giant numbers on our spacecraft for the descent. But it just gives us a bit more thrust to weight ratio to work with. Okay, we're 170. We can go a little bit closer. Actually, we really just need to lower that vertical descent rate. Less our lateral. So we are descending very, very fast. Because we're coming in from actually quite a high orbit. Usually I'd do this kind of descent from about 30 kilometers. I mean, it makes no sense that our side boosters are feeding fuel into the central core, but it's fine. It's fine. We need the extra performance. Is there any way to hide these readings? I know we can hide the whole UI, but I don't really want to do that. But it's a bit irritating to have these giant numbers on screen just because I've set them all to draining and everything. Like, I can see the info on here. There's got to be a way to hide it, right? As part of the UI? If there is a way, someone please let me know. Man, I'm really bad at doing descent and landing with low thrust to weight ratio landers and no suicide burn guidance. Start the burn again at 15 kilometers. Okay, I think that's what we're gonna need. How much speed we got? 4 kilometers a second. Okay, I think we're actually going to be absolutely fine here. If anything, we don't want to land on this mountain. Let's go that way a bit. Oh no, we're gonna hit the ground again. Oh, the thrust to weight ratio on this lander is so terrible. Within 50 meters per second. I just got a bit bored. Oh no. Oh, we're doing this earlier than we should be doing it, right? Like, we are doing this with more primitive engines than, and more primitive launch pad than this should be doable. This is why this is so tricky. Like, I think it's hard to get across. This is actually quite a tricky thing I'm trying to do, and quite a scuffed thing I've been doing. Yeah, the TLDR is like, you know what, I don't actually need to do the fuel transfer while this thing is flying. Like, we can transfer the fuel afterwards, but we can use all of these engines. We'll do the fuel transfer at the end. Like, once we've landed, we've got more than enough fuel. We don't need to worry about it. But let's use all 4 of our engines. I was about to say all 3. All 4. It just improves our thrust to weight ratio quite a bit. And in fact, we're going to start at about 45 degrees. Because really, it's our vertical descent rate that we're a little bit more concerned about, less our lateral velocity. You call a thrust to weight ratio of 1.71 low. Yeah, that's since we activated the extra engine. Our previous thrust to weight ratio was 1.15. Yes, it was low. And also, that's our thrust to weight ratio. It doesn't say much with how low the gravity is on this celestial body. to go a little bit further that way to get onto some flatter terrain. This is 5 times speed. That's how slowly we slow down. Like, yeah, it is low. Okay, here we go. Heading down onto some slightly flatter terrain than where we were originally coming down on. Yeah, we'll go to the point of interest, but we'll go there with the Druid. We don't have really a capable enough lander to do it with the spacecraft. Okay, let's not stuff this up this time. Okay, last 500 meters. Here we go. We got a lot of rocks. We got a shadow. The sun's really low in the sky, it's really hard to see. We have touchdown! It's a bit rocky. But we did it. Hell yeah. That was a bit tricky with these engines. I will be honest. Right, let's actually, if we set all of these to drain first, then we'll drain evenly. There we go. And we even landed with fuel to spare. We possibly overbuilt this lander. We could have made it a bit lighter and improved our thrust to weight ratio a bit. Or perhaps just put bigger engines to have a bit more thrust. I think that would be an improvement we'll make in future. Now, how far are we from the Cocoa Mountains? Quite a ways. I reckon we wait until the sun comes up. And we're going to quick save to start with. I reckon we wait till the sun comes up and then we try and fly a little bit closer. We've got quite a bit of fuel remaining. I reckon we can fly closer. And wait for the sun to come up a bit. So we can actually see what we're doing. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay. And I reckon we're going to see if we can fly a little bit closer. It's to the east of us. People are talking about Steam achievement noises. Yeah, I did get a Steam achievement. And let's fly over there. Oh, we are completely out of monopropellant though. That explains why this was difficult to control. Okay. So, what exact direction is it? It's a bit, no, it's a bit further south. That's it. It's about that a ways. So yeah, we are completely out of monopropellant. I think it's a good thing I did put gimbal on these, or perhaps it's the avionics of the actual craft itself. But how much closer can we get? And then we'll, yeah, we can get over to this like plateau here. That's what I'm going to try and do. Not necessarily going to be easy without RCS. This thing is actually quite difficult to control. But I reckon it's very doable. Did I miss the crash? Yeah, we did land, but we're just going to try and get a little bit closer to these Cocoa Mountains. That's probably enough lateral velocity. We just maintain our vertical velocity now before we go for our descent. There is a just upwards, isn't there? That's north. Lock up. Here we go. That's really useful. Just like, depending what frame of reference you're in, you can lock to different useful headings. I know MechJeb has that in KSP, but I should probably keep a closer eye on our like vertical acceleration here. Probably a much more useful measure to keep an eye on. Keep that about 0 as we float over. And then try and land about here. We want to be slightly further north. Land in this sort of plateau area. In a traditional funny game alien fashion, they try a risky untested maneuver first thing after landing on a moon instead of going outside. Heck yeah! What more do you expect? Pester Beatty to join the voice chat. Ooh, tempting. You know what? Once I've landed and I've got out and I've hiked up the mountain, then heck yeah, I will join the For All Cowboy Kind voice chat. That sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, the game is frozen. It was going so well. What's happened? The game's frozen. I think the game's crashed. Yeah, the game is totally crashed. Okay. I don't know if that's to do with parallax or what. I'm hesitant to blame it on the game itself when I'm using mods. But something wants to say hidden in those mountains. You are absolutely right. Yeah, wow, the game has fully crashed. Okay. Wow. Juno New Origins has stopped responding. Oh, it does not want to close either. Oh, there we go. Well, the game crashed. So let's get that back over. Solar storm crashed it. It's theory and explanation. Yeah, it's a solar storm. Well, I guess we'll boot the game back up again. Guys are saying, did I miss the crash? Well, you didn't miss the game crash. You missed the rocket crash. Your game's been lagging the stream when time warping. Right. That's probably to do with parallax. I think that's something that will be improved a lot when I have a lot more memory. But yeah, the game's terrain system, I think, really is the only thing I don't like about Juno. I know it's like mobile optimized, but me trying to make the terrain not look like crap by putting it on like ultra mega pro cube maps and allocating a whole bunch of memory to parallax and putting that on quite high settings has, yeah, unfortunately caused some side effects. Can I show the Lego lander? I can, absolutely, in the meantime, while we wait for the game to load. I mean, it has just loaded up, but let's have a little look at this, shall we? I think it's appropriate now that we've landed on Brigo. I need to make sure I didn't hit one of my streaming hotkeys on my keyboard there when I put it down. So here it is in all of its glory. This is the LK lander. So you've got your little hatch there. You've got the panorama so that the Cosmonaut inside can actually see the surface below. It's a panoramic window. You've got the RCS blocks on the top. You've even got the communications stuff. So particularly you've got this little communications dish here. It's even got a little lunar like surface stand that it sits on. It's nice, right? Got a little lander. Cool, huh? And this isn't actually Lego. It's Blue Bricks, so it's knockoff Lego. So this was only 30 quid. That's a pretty decent size as well. I mean, I don't have a banana for scale. Could go get a banana for scale. But yeah, that's my Lego Lunar Lander. I'm absolutely chuffed with it. You know, I'm actually just going to put it back because I'm worried I'm going to knock it over. It's not quite fragile, but it's not quite sturdy, you know. It does hold together, but if you knocked it over, it would shatter into a million pieces. There you have it. Beardy is in fact the size of a large grape. That's true. Previous in progress flight was detected. Oh, I want to keep that flight. Please do not revert that flight. Okay, let's see. We had a quick save, obviously. Is that the SLS Lego set you see? Yes, it is. That's behind me to my left. Alongside the Saturn V and the N1. Yeah, the SLS is good. The launch tower is really cool. It's a bit repetitive to build, the launch tower, but it is good. I like that this, you can see it's actually on the south pole of Luna as well, because you've got the solar ice cap and you've got the other side. Oh! Wow, that actually saved at a really opportune time. Wow, okay. Juno's in-flight saving is much better than KSP's, because it actually saved the game while we're under acceleration. I thought it was about to crash again there. Okay, no, we're fine. We're fine. Cool. We actually didn't miss anything there. What are you wearing? Is it what I think it is? Yeah, it's the I Am Knuff hoodie from the Barbie movie. It's nice, right? Yeah, I'm pretty certain it was Parallax that crashed the game. I'm not going to blame that one on the Juno devs. I've cranked everything parallax-wise up to its max settings to try and make terrain look as nice as possible. Again, it looks nicer than the stock KSP terrain, but very few things look worse than that. Okay. How are we doing fuel-wise? Oh, we still got loads of fuel. Okay. I do want to retarget the Cocoa Mountains, so we see how close we are. We're getting pretty damn close now. Okay, let's get slowing down now. I hate how it overshoots. Just how much it overshoots by. Yeah, I think you can tune... I know you can tune the PID values for aircraft. I'm not sure if you can tune the PID values for spacecraft. And touchdown. Do not roll over. Oh, crud. Default PID values are very hit or miss, sadly, yeah. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out. The Drew's got a tether, so we can get that upright again, I'm sure. Ah. Hello, Yuri. How you feeling, your nice, snazzy red suit? He's like, oh, no. He looks pretty awkward, doesn't he? Oh, God. Whoopsie. What have I done? Yeah, maybe he's realised he's not getting home quite so easily as he thought. Regardless. Let's go have a look at these Cocoa Mountains, shall we? Whee! There we are. Whoop. How much fuel does this jump pack have? Let's say. Does he have infinite fuel in his jetpack? Surely not. Does he have infinite fuel? No way is infinite fuel. Oh, yeah, here we go. All stages, 43%. Okay. I don't think it actually has a huge amount of... Yeah, no, that is definitely a limited amount of fuel. Oh! Oops, sorry, Yuri. I flew you into the ground. Yeah, because it doesn't tell you how much Delta V he has, or like exactly what his fuel numbers are. It just has it here. It's 0% battery, mono active stage. It just has all stages 34%. But it doesn't actually have like a fuel readout, which I find odd. Definitely does not have infinite fuel. Yeah, that would have been too good, wouldn't it? Whee! Yeah, this might take a while. We might end up walking for a lot of this. Sorry, Yuri, I keep flying you into rocks. Okay, let's keep some fuel for when we actually need it. He's just gonna jump his way there. Oh man, these parallax rocks having colliders makes life a bit difficult, doesn't it? We really should have tried to land even closer. With how flimsy our landing gear was. Okay, let's turn the jetpack off. And then we can... Grappling hook? Whatever grappling... Oh, it's F, isn't it? That's really disorienting. We're not going to do that. We're just going to keep jumping. We're going to keep jumping our way there. You gain science by walking. Infinite would be cool. Yeah, it would be fun, wouldn't it? It wouldn't make much sense. See if we can find a less pebbly route there, because Yuri is certainly stumbling over all the tiny rocks. I thought I only had collisions on the big rocks, but nope. I said collisions on everything. Everyone knows crouch jumping is faster than walking. Truer words are never said. To be fair, his jumping is actually reasonably quick. As long as he like has a good run up. He's gonna get there soon enough. Well, while we are bounding over the surface, climbing up the Cocoa Mountains, and mind we don't have to do the full 5 kilometers because we just have to get within the zone. We're going to go join the For All Kerbal Kind voice chat and have a little natter with some of my fellow creators. So bear with me, I'm going to have to tab out for a second. And we're going to head on over to For All Kerbal Kind. And go have a little chat with the gang. There we go. Hello, Carnassa. Oh, I need to
mute the video now.
You're going to hear two versions of me.
N9 is at work. So...
Oh, lame. Pizza man, gonna pizza.
How do I mute a video on my phone? With the volume button.
That would probably help, yes. How do you like watching Yuri Gagarin walk 5 kilometers across a chocolatey moon?
This is thrilling content.
Is this the content you subscribed for?
Oh, absolutely. I know I'm on the Juno Discord server, and I basically got invited to the content creator bit because, you know...
I'm in there too.
And there was kind of like one rule, and it was I need to do some Juno content. I think I got added in about a year ago, and I still haven't done anything.
You still haven't done any content on it?
No.
But you love the game.
I do. I really like it. I've just not had the time to edit anything together and put something together. But this is my first YouTube appearance on a Juno stream,
yeah,
so there we go. I've done it.
It's close enough. It's weird that you can't see like the exact fuel level for the jetpack, right?
It's like... just a percentage, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but you can see it on the flight info, but you can't see it when you click on the actual crew, which I find strange.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember. It's been so long since I played Juno. I think it's been about 7 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had that period of when KSP2 died, and I was just, I'm going all out on Juno, and I loved it. I made Jamestown, I built some really intricate things, and then I just kind of stopped.
People have been asking about like a For All Drew kind esque thing. I think I had a little chat about it in previous streams, but what I would probably do, I mean, I want to explore the entire stock system first. You know, the devs have put all this effort into the stock system. Let's you know, hold fire and play its stock before we just go overboard with realism. I was gonna say mods, but you can obviously change a whole bunch of stuff to be realistic just through the engine XML files and stuff. Even add ignitions and stuff that's in the game, just not enabled by default, which is really cool. But the way I'd probably do it is all uncrewed missions I'd have to program with Visi. So I'd learn Visi. And I mean, as a software engineer, I think I identify as a spacecraft engineer, but really the work I do is predominantly software. It's, you know, software for aerospace. I think it'd be embarrassing if I didn't do that, you know. And I think that'd be a really interesting challenge and a real different thing to what obviously we're doing over in KSP. Using the built-in programmer and just fully automating any probe missions. You can only control it if it's a crewed mission. I think that could be really cool.
That's a cool idea. I think one of my proudest achievements in a space game ever was writing a thing in Visi. I know you can unlock, I think, the biggest launch pad if you land on like the drone ship. And I wrote a fully automated program to launch it from the desert launch pad and land on the drone ship, and it was the best thing ever. I can't remember how I did it, but there was a lot of orbital mechanics involved. I had to look up like gravitational constants and stuff like this. This is all stuff I never needed to know in KSP because the game did it for me, and now it's all stuff that I was, this is really awesome, and it got me a lot more into the physics behind space as well.
So I feel like I should be better suited to it off the bat because obviously I did a degree in it, so like circular trigonometry or spherical trigonometry I should say, and like navigation and the like. I did actually do at uni, but watch me just be awful at it as I start.
Visi's super simple. I'm
it's
assuming
one of those things where it's deceptively simple, right? I've had a little look at it, but I assume you can get a lot of complexity out of it.
Yes. Yeah. It's dead simple to pick up. I'd never used anything like it, but I know there's a programming language, or maybe not even language. I think it's like not Scratch, but there's something where it's very similar to where you've got all of your like functions all laid out for you. You just have to drag and drop them, and you can do some pretty powerful stuff with it. It's, yeah, an awesome little addition in the game. It's basically KOS built in.
Yeah, except KOS is like command line, isn't it? Or is that's not drag and drop, is it?
KOS is a proper, I say proper language. it's one that you do actually have to type.
Yeah,
but you can create .kos files, of which there are actually extensions on Visual Studio Code.
Oh, really? Well, I love that there's a KSP module manager config extension for VS Code, which has made the For All Kerbal Kind mod pack stuff so much faster. I don't know why it took me. I spent an embarrassing amount of time editing configs in Notepad++ before finally being like, oh, I should finally just set up a Visual Studio Code workspace and get some extensions, set up a GitHub, like do it all properly. And since I've been doing that, it's just like supercharged things. I've been doing things so much faster because of course I have, because I've got all the tools for it. But I just didn't have that initial like. I guess I didn't feel like there was enough reason to put in that initial time investment of like getting the repo set up and all of that. But with it now being more sort of actively developed, particularly making lots and lots of completely custom configs, like for the spiral space pane and everything, and just being more and more concerned about N9 screwing it up somehow. I think having it all under proper version control and having multiple of us contributing to it, you've just redone the README and all the Knez configs.
Have you told your chat that N9 is not allowed on the repo because he might break everything?
Yeah, N9 is not a contributor on the GitHub repository because I don't trust him. He has broken his own install so many times. And he has such a habit of, oh, this thing in the game annoys me. Let me just write a quick config and patch it out and dump it somewhere random in game data. And then by the time like we have an update, he'll update his game and wonder why it's broken or wonder why a bunch of things aren't the way he likes it. It's because it doesn't have his hundreds of little randomly named configs spread throughout game data that he's forgotten he's made. And once like one of said configs like caused his KCT to be running differently because he kept it across an update, and then it ended up that his like production was slower than mine. He lost like 6 months of like build time and just a whole bunch of just shenanigans of that because he's just so chaotic. He is a chaos gremlin when it comes to modding and it stresses me out so much. I did not want his grimy little mitts on the mod pack.
You say that, but it was only until I updated my install about a month ago that I realised the reason why I wasn't getting any tech boosts is because I'd forgotten to switch back my KCT preset to the actual RP1 one.
I feel like that's easily done because you made your own custom one to start with, didn't you? Just
so I could unlock all of the tech without having to buy any upgrade points.
The thing is, like, wait, does the Druid have lights on them? No, I don't think they have lights.
A little bit behind the video. How far away are you on screen? You're still 3.5 kilometers away.
Yeah, the stream's reasonably low latency. It's only a couple
These
seconds.
Cocoa Mountains better be worth it.
Oh yeah, they certainly better be. Sadly, no lights. Okay.
I just seen someone in chat, I think Floor, say I love VS Code. I actually don't like VS Code, but I use it because that's what. No, because it's a text editor. It's a brilliant text editor, but it's not a great IDE. It's not an IDE, and I much prefer working within an IDE, like all of the JetBrains stuff. I love JetBrains. They're so good. This is not sponsored by JetBrains.
If you were about to say Qt Creator, I might have murdered you.
I've not even heard of that. What is that?
Don't live in your blissful naivety.
To be honest, the place that I'm starting on Monday, I know they do primarily use VS Code, so I've got to learn to actually like it. So.
The thing is, particularly at my work, like it's such a range of stuff I work on. Like I work on so many different languages across so many different projects, and I think that's like one of the reasons why they hired me based on my software skills, is because even though I don't have particularly deep knowledge on anything, like apart from C++, really, C++ is my main one. and more so now that I've worked with it for a year. Weirdo.
C++ being the main one. That's the one that everyone. It's the hard one. It's the difficult language to get into.
But it was my first programming language.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and then it's just been, particularly with aerospace and stuff, like it's sort of a go-to one. So it's really, really good to be really fluent in it. But that's the one I'm completely fluent in. But then I just have an awareness and I have a working knowledge with loads and loads of others. And I just sort of, my CV is bloated with a whole bunch of different things. And so I'm thrown between a whole bunch of different projects with things I have to sort of quickly do refresher courses on before I do them. But, so also I think reasonably fluent now with JavaScript, HTML, CSS, all your web dev stuff. I recently had the pleasure of starting my own project instead of just hacking away at other people's stuff. I'm actually doing it. They gave me requirements. I've got a self-contained little project which needs a UI. So I had the joy of getting to actually pick a JavaScript framework and a UI framework, and doing everything, the 2024 way, instead of a whole bunch of people who work for the company who are just like, oh, this is what I know, and so I'm not going to change, right? And it's like, they're writing raw CSS and JavaScript, and it makes me want to hurt
what
myself.
Framework have you used?
So I picked Angular, mainly because of the requirements of the project. And I can't talk about exactly why, because proprietary stuff, but I really like it, and because because it's opinionated, and we have a real problem at the company of everyone being siloed off, doing their own thing, working their own way. You have to really force people to like work to a coding standard. And so just having that naturally be part of the framework, it's opinionated, you have to do stuff the right way or it won't compile. It's all in TypeScript, which basically just resolves all the problems I have with JavaScript, because I do not like that language. TypeScript is gorgeous, and you can just naturally just compile for different standards of ECMAScript out the box. And like previous projects I've worked on, they're like, oh no, you're not allowed to use asynchronous functions. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, because we're limited to ES6 because we need to support like particular browsers. I'm just there like, this cannot be a problem in 2024. Like, there are definitely things that can compile this into different versions of JavaScript, and TypeScript just does it out the box, which is really, really nice. And it's nice to have the confirmation of, those people were idiots. That's a stupid way of working.
From my limited knowledge of both JavaScript and TypeScript, I don't have an awful lot. I am learning JavaScript at the moment, but TypeScript is just better because it's in the name.
It's better in every way.
Typed languages are just so much better.
Dynamic typing, one of my pet peeves. I kind of get it for Python, because really it's just for processing data, writing like scientific stuff that you're not really worried about performance, or like you shouldn't be writing like customer facing product in Python. If you are, then you're an idiot. It's just for your personal things, just to quickly hack something out. Python is great. But that's really where I think dynamic typing should end. I think any customer facing product, UI, anything, it's just, there's no reason not to have things be statically typed. I have never heard a compelling argument for the any type deserving to exist. It's just opens the door to a whole bunch of bugs. You have to do a whole bunch of type validation on every single input, and it's just like, it creates so much more code and so much more work if you don't want to have like bugs riddled throughout, where you need to be like validating the type before it even goes into the function. It's just like, why not just have that baked into the language,
I won't even use like var or anything like that in Java, because it's just why.
Well, I mean, let has kind of made it redundant anyway, hasn't it? So let and const.
I saw someone was talking about they were being forced to use Eclipse in the chat, and I was like, why do that to yourself? Just download IntelliJ. it's the same but better. Just do it. It's free as well.
I don't actually. I've heard it said, but I don't actually know what that is. Like, do you want to describe IntelliJ to me?
IntelliJ is just an IDE for Java.
Java or JavaScript?
Java.
Okay. I don't know Java. I did a little bit of Java back in school, like making little games, but it was such a long time ago. I really don't. I'm not familiar with Java. I know a lot of people really like it.
A lot of people also really hate it.
It's got a lot of
You,
boilerplate, right? But the fact it's got like the built-in garbage collector and stuff, I can see why people like it. It's cross-platform. I can see why people like
I
it.
like it, but then that's because that's what I primarily code in for my job. So, you know.
Someone just said one of the
biased.
reasons Python is so slow is the constant type validation. Yeah. It's like, why not just, you know, I don't know, pick the type. Like, why is there ever any need to not know what the type of something is before you store the data in it? Like, when is that ever actually useful? Anyway, I digress. We're well over halfway towards those Cocoa Mountains. We should be making our way there. This is going to be most of this stream, I reckon. It's just going to be getting to those mountains. One thing I don't like about Juno is you can't place flags, though. I wish I could plant a flag at the top. That would be cool.
You know,
no, you can't plant a flag.
To be honest, I don't actually think I've ever gone on an EVA when I've played Juno.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Just, I didn't see the point. I guess maybe I did know there were no flags. I was like, well, I can't go out and plant a flag here. What's the point in getting my Druid out?
Yeah, I don't tend to really get them out very often. I'm more interested in the vehicles themselves. Maybe obviously do the same in Couple Kind,
You
but
can make some really cool stuff in Juno.
yeah. I need to, speaking of back to programming languages for a second, I really need to learn Rust. Because if I don't, I will be out of a job in the next 10 years. Working in aerospace, like the Ministry of Defense and the US government and some of the tier 1 contractors like BAE Systems, new contracts, they're starting to mandate usage of Rust, memory safe languages, because it's like the #1 cause of bugs. Like something like ridiculous, like 95% of bugs, stack overflows, out of range exceptions, segmentation faults. And it just,
I've heard of Rust, but I didn't really know what it was. So...
It's a memory safe language, so if something even has the possibility of causing a memory related error, it won't compile. And that's the advantage of it. It's completely memory safe, it's opinionated, it's a very, very strict compiler, and so it just stops you. It's more difficult to do like simple things because you've got to jump through so many hoops, as I understand it. I don't know too much about it, but it just inherently means you can never, if it compiles, it's memory safe. And it just means then you don't have to do so much testing, particularly in aerospace. Like you don't have to coverage test and branch test every aspect of the program to make sure that there's never a memory error or anything. Like, you just need to check that your inputs and your outputs are correct, but you don't need to really worry about something like crashing hard. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't really know much about it. I don't even know what the syntax is like. Someone in the chat is saying biggest gripe is the syntax, going on for hours and hours. I used to spend going through every line of code. Anything, yeah.
Isn't that Python with pi? I didn't think you needed semicolons.
Oh, it's great with pi. You don't need semicolons with Python. I thought they were referring back to my Rust. No, you don't. It's just indentation and blank end of line. That's I swear you don't need a semicolon in pi. But also, that's the very common thing. Like, really, if you're using any decent linter, it'll immediately flag up while you're writing it that you forgot the semicolon.
You did.
And really, you should be using a linter as you write.
Python was the first programming language that I learned, and you don't need a semicolon.
You do not. What's your opinion on automatic like linters and formatters? I love them.
I've never really used them except for I started today. I downloaded, I think it's ESLint on
ESLint. You should Prettier
as well. Prettier, yeah. I got those two today because I'm currently learning React.
Oh, you poor man.
Because, well, it's for my job that I start on Monday.
Industry standard. Really, it's React versus Angular. Like, after reading up on them both like extensively for this project, I've suddenly formed, having never previously even heard of it, formed very strong opinions about React. But it is an industry standard thing. It's very useful to know. But yeah, like, honestly, I'd never used a formatter or like an active linter before starting my job because I'd only ever really coded personal projects. Like, really, I'm self-taught. So a lot of the stuff that I learned at work is just basically working in a team.
And so the day I was introduced to turning on format on save, typing a whole bunch of really messy code, press save, and it just instantly makes it all look beautiful, and it's all formatted to a specific standard so that everyone's code looks the same. And if it's not in line with the standard, then the linter like highlights stuff and says, oh, this, these comments need to be in this format, this needs to be in this format, and just automatically just does everything for you. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of time making your code look nice. You just push a button and boom, just everything is exactly the way that your company demands it look like out of the box. Just great, just really, really great. It's just ended up saving me so much time. I've ended up applying formatters to all my personal projects and stuff as well. Unfortunately, there's an auto formatter for Kerbal Space Program config files, but if there was.
I was going to say, I've noticed since downloading ESLint and Prettier today, it is actually kind of messing up the configs because it doesn't read them properly. So there's like red squigglies everywhere, and I'm like, no, I've not done anything wrong. This is how it should be. Stop saying it's wrong.
You can set up Prettier just so it turns off all the warnings and everything on that specific file type, but it still keeps the formatting. So you might be able to get Prettier with the right settings to format config files nicely. Because really, it's not particularly advanced syntax, right? So
no.
I imagine it could probably. Then again, it might get confused by the module manager tags and things. So you might have to do some configuring to get that to work properly.
Yeah.
First, I have to say I don't like the standard formatter. Yeah, I don't like Prettier's formatter out of the box. I have to do a whole bunch of configurings with a Prettier RC file to get it the way I like it. Like, it uses single quotes out of the box. I prefer double quotes, but that's really a personal preference.
I too prefer double quotes.
I think because it's clearer when you need to put like quotes within quotes, when you put single quotes then within double quotes. But for me, I think just C++ has trained me, like double quotes is strings, single quotes is chars. Like that's just my brain. That's what my brain associates. When I see a string in single quotes, it just looks wrong.
Oh, by the way, I hope you enjoy the 5p that I've just sorted you out on. I'm watching you on my phone and my computer right now, and I just got 2 ads. I got an ad on each one at the same time. So,
wow! Thank you for your service. Yeah. So, you want to tell the chat who went on a 9 stream what you're working on in For All Kerbal Kind, what your plans for the future are?
So there's the Mars race. Which
you're gonna get to Mars first.
Did you read what happened?
Yeah, so you loaded your lander and the engine rotated 90 degrees, right? Something
and
like
it's inside the spacecraft. It's nowhere near where it was. It's somehow moved and rotated itself round. So that's gonna have to be a quick edit.
Yeah,
Other things I was looking through my save file yesterday.
Does it have pressure residuals and stuff like helium? Because you might need to actually update it with those anyway.
Yes,
it does. Okay.
I'm fairly sure I built that after we did the
big update. Okay.
Helium update. Another thing that I'm doing, I think just after our next little international collaboration, I will be sending my first Kerbal to orbit by myself.
Oh, amazing! So that's with, is it Viking?
The Viking, yes.
Very cool.
I'm launching that on a British rocket. Just
because... Oh, you're not launching it on Ariane?
No, I'm not. The main reason for this is because the British rockets are a lot more reliable.
Right.
So,
I didn't realize you could have a British rocket capable of hefting a crew capsule.
They're actually quite capable now. I think the Black Duke 2 can lift about 3.5 tons, and I think the Viking's about 2.
Oh wow, okay.
So if I recall correctly, it's like a 120-ton launch vehicle, but it's got a Hydrolox upper stage, so it payload fraction is really good. And then I'm also working on a 350-ton British rocket, which I'm not sure if that'll ever see the light of day because it's just ridiculous. It's just got so many LR... No, they're not LR-89s, what are they? RZ. RZ2s.
British version
of them, yeah. Four of them on the first stage, and then something like 8 of the RZ20, which is the British
I
RL10.
mean,
on
it's
the
not
second stage.
ridiculous. Remember, the N1 has 30 engines on the main stage, so that's the upper limit, really.
I'm definitely going to be doing something for that when I get round to super heavies though, and it's going to be like an Ariane that has like 12 volcanes on its first stage, just because.
Engines are a bit of a limiting factor, aren't they? I think that would be really exciting though to see what you do with like the limited number of engines, because you've got good engines, they're just not ridiculously powerful engines. And obviously you can always then like buy engines from myself or N9 under license, so that does also make sense if you really are limited. But I think it's more interesting to see what you do.
That was definitely a plan. I think we were going to have is I'd buy Soyuz from you, just
Yeah, so you can buy
because
Soyuz rockets
does
from me.
fly out of Peru.
Mm-hmm.
12
So I think
Vulcans,
I
12
would
Vulcans.
probably, I don't know, I guess we need to figure out whether or not you'd buy rockets from me, or if you just bought the technology for Soyuz, so you could just build your own Soyuz. I need to think about that.
Drape it in ESA livery. That might actually be quite cool. Try and recreate it, but not even. I'd like look at your video to see what you've kind of done, and then try and kind of basically steal the idea. So it wouldn't be exactly the same, but it's as if like, oh yeah, I've sent some spies to take take your design, and I will make it my own, but it'll be ever so slightly different.
And with that, I think we've got our tech points for reaching Cocoa Mountains. I think we've done it. Let's have a little look. Brigo. Cocoa Mountains. 50 tech points. Heck yeah. At this point, I feel like we might as well get all the way to the peak and then have a little look from the peak. It's almost an anticlimax. We don't walk the last like 500 meters to the very, very top.
Is the lore in this that Brigo is actually made out of chocolate, or is that just something that?
Well, similar to how Minmus is made out of ice cream.
Yeah, I guess.
Everyone knows the moon's made of cheese. I doubt it's actually made of chocolate. I suppose it's just meant to look like a chocolate Death Star. It is properly a Death Star though. It's got a trench and a super laser. It's
I
fully
didn't
just
know
a
it
Death
has a
Star.
trench, but I know about
It
the
has a
super laser.
massive like equator canyon. Definitely a trench. All it's missing is Darth Vader. And some
I see people
stormtroopers.
talking about states in chat and still code, and it's like, what? Why? Why we
Angry
need
at code
states?
because it doesn't work, happy because it suddenly does work. I mean, I don't tend to really get angry at code as long as it's not like a bug in something. Like, I was doing some real cutting edge stuff, which I can't talk too much about, but in C++ with like Linux system calls and things. And I found two bugs. One in ePol, which you use to monitor sockets. An actual bug in ePol, just built into the Linux, like in the kernel. And I found a bug in tar. The program tar. I found a memory leak in tar.
Did you raise an appropriate defect report?
I did indeed.
You did.
But obviously it spent ages and ages, and that's the only time I was frustrated because like this should work according to all documentation. This should work. I've done nothing wrong. It turns out no, it actually was a bug. Two separate bugs at different occasions in the actual, like, obviously tar isn't in the kernel, but might as well be at this point. It's such a, it's a default program included, but that blew my mind, being like, wow, I've actually found. I'm like such a niche use case what I'm currently working on. I actually found bugs in the Linux kernel. Not that it makes me love Linux any less, because I'm a bit of a convert since having worked. I never used Linux until working on it at work. I'm never going to switch to it for home just because I do so much gaming and do so much stuff that I don't need the extra performance of Linux and everything. But I understand now why sweaty nerds love it so much. And why they dual boot their computers and they have a separate like partition for gaming and yada yada. I have one of my friends who was like, "Oh, so you like Linux now? Oh, okay." So I mean, like, no, I'm not gonna get it because I like gaming. And they're like, "Oh no, you can use, I think it's called Proton and so get a Windows virtual machine." And I was just like, "Oh, I just can't be bothered. I just no, I'm not doing it. I'm not switching to Linux. Not at home." keep the Linux at work. Even my manager, who absolutely loves Linux, he's like, "Oh God, no, I don't use it at home. Like, keep the Linux for the workspace." Like, yeah, it's impressive and it's amazing, and it's amazing for like embedded things. Incredible for projects and like concepts, but God, no, I'm not going to use it on my home computer.
The only time I ever use it is when messing around with AWS, and that's about it.
What's AWS?
Amazon Web Services.
Oh, of course, yeah.
The thing that I'm certified in.
Oh, check you out. We're actually going to be using Amazon Web Services at work soon. We're hosting some of our stuff on there, which is cool.
It's
Not that I know anything about it.
There's a lot of services it offers, and I had to learn lots of them in order to pass the exam.
But you nailed it, right? You got like in the 90s.
No, that was for my ISTQB, which is the testing, software testing certification. That one I got 95% on. The Amazon one, I think I got 78, which is 8% above a pass. So not
Right
quite
then.
so good.
I feel like as soon as you finish school, like anything above 70 is amazing.
I want to get Spring Boot or just Spring certified, but that's going to take a long time, and I'm not even going to be coding in Spring anymore. So
What is Spring?
It's a framework for Java.
Ah, okay.
It's basically an easy way of using Java Enterprise. You can do loads of stuff with Spring. Really powerful framework.
Right, well, we've reached the top of the mountain, so it's time to head back. Oh, yay! Someone's asking in the chat, quick question about the FAQ mod pack. Will I break anything if I install a flags pack mod that just adds to the flags folder? I assume not. No, you will not. You can very safely add flags. You can add your own custom flags because we do that ourselves.
You don't even need to add it to the flags folder, do you? I'm fairly sure you can add them anywhere.
Put them anywhere. I think they need to be in a flags folder for the game to recognize it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can put them anywhere.
Because we each have our own individual
Our own
flags folder in our editions.
In our little additions folders, yeah, keep things nice.
Which I spammed full of different European countries' flags as soon as I joined.
It is a bit of a pet peeve of mine that you didn't name them nicely. They're just still called like UK-flag-medium.png. Like they're not.
I can go through and I can change the names and I can put that as a pull request.
I would appreciate that. I mean, N9 did the same thing though, so I don't know. It's just a bit irritating. You go to like select flag when you start, and there's a whole bunch of just like awful looking flag names. Slight pet peeve, but I won't hold it too much against you.
I don't.
You know, talking about frameworks and things, that's my one pet peeve about web dev. Is that, my God, there's the fact that you have to know basically 3 different languages off the bat to make a website, and then you need to learn one of the thousands of different frameworks for each individual one of all of those, and then extra languages if you want to talk to a database, you know, want to SQL, this or that, and you end up learning like 7 languages to do anything. So before you can even get started, you learn 7 different languages and how they all interact, and everyone uses a different combination of different frameworks and different. It's just like, oh my God, like it's just impenetrable. It's like, it's no wonder, you know, web devs are so sought after and so employable, and that's why I'm so happy to have just had an excuse with the current project I'm on to just bloat my CV and add a whole bunch more of these things to it.
You think web devs are in demand? That's what I'm going into. That's what my job is starting on Monday. I'm full stack web developer, and yeah, it's taken a while because there are no jobs going for that at the moment.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's such an oversaturated market. I know.
To be fair, I guess it's your go-to thing, isn't it? I guess it's the most common skill set, right? The entire internet's built off it, so
yeah.
That's interesting. I assumed that there would be more in demand though, because of that. But
it's a pretty rough market at the moment.
Oh, so you're actually a dime a dozen. Okay.
Yeah.
So does it pay more to be a C++ developer at the moment then? you
I
think?
think C++ is very good to know from my research into it because I got told to learn it about 2 weeks ago.
Well, the
And
interesting thing is that aerospace is always desperately short of software people because like software, like raw software, just tends to pay better, and that's where most software people tend to think to go. A lot of them don't think to go into engineering, and
mm,
so like aerospace engineering is always desperately short of software people, and that's why I've ended up carving myself out a nice little niche of being a spacecraft engineer who's also a very competent software engineer. So I'm in that little Venn diagram that not many people are in.
mm.
And that's a really, really nice place to be. But I mean, I even offered to refer you to work at where I work.
You
Yeah.
did, you did. When I lost my job last year and I had no idea what I was going to do. Unfortunately, you're a bit far from me.
Yeah, you would have to move. Oh, I just killed Yuri. Whoops. I
Oh,
got bored and
man.
decided to start flying down the mountain. And he just flew into a rocket 100 miles an
Oh,
hour.
God. He actually died.
Yeah, he full on just exploded. It's a good thing I quick saved at the top. uh, Funny enough, you can earn a lot if you do ancient stuff like PL1 or such, someone says in the chat. That's a fair point. I have a mate who had to learn, I think it was COBOL for air traffic
Yeah.
control systems because they're so huge and monolithic. It's just completely beyond their own possibility to replace them. So they just have to keep maintaining them. And these
Mm,
disgustingly huge. It says it takes like 30 minutes to like pull the code base.
wow.
And he had to learn. So he came out of a computer science degree. He thought he was going to be going straight into like really cutting edge stuff, and then ended up learning COBOL and is like resolving 30-year-old technical debt day in day out. But apparently, like it's really interesting, and yeah, actually, it's a real sort of good skill set to have. Any sort of niche thing like that, because then you can become a go-to person for it. So much of the world still runs on systems code and all of that stuff, like Pascal as well, even to an extent.
See, I'm scared that I've been told that I need to downgrade to Java 8 for my next job, and that's nowhere near as bad.
See, I just don't know anything about Java. What is your like go-to language? Is it Java?
It's Java, yeah.
Java.
Java's what I learned at uni, and Java, basically the job that I started in June. The first 2 months of that was a really, really intense, like, upskilling course in basically becoming a professional Java developer because my experience out of uni was not good enough to be a professional developer, and I needed more. And now they've helped me move on to another job. Although I'm still working for the same company, I'm basically contracted out. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I love my job. It's so good. I absolutely enjoy what I do, and that is not sarcasm in the slightest. Like it's great.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, man. I mean, I'm really in the same boat. It's a weird one because I always thought, I enjoyed coding. I'm really glad I did it now because it was a toss-up between computer science and drama at GCSE, and like,
Wow.
basically, I was gonna go for drama, and my mum was like, "Okay, you want to like do like spacecraft and rockets and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, so I know you like drama, Ollie, but which of these two is gonna help you more in your like ideal career path?" And they're like, I guess computer science could be useful. Not realizing that, like, I think it's because nobody tells you do computer science, and this has like been my main piece of advice for people asking me like what subjects to take and everything. Nobody tells you do computer science, A level, GCSE, or anything like to do engineering at uni, and then you go into an engineering degree and they just expect you to know how to code. They don't teach you, and every group I was ever in was always really lucky in that they had me, and I was always just the code monkey for every project because I was the only one who knew how to do it. And I find that absolutely bizarre that like nobody across my entire academic journey ever said, "Oh, maybe you should do computer science." Like, I think particularly old school like academics and stuff, like they don't have much respect for it as a subject. But obviously, it's so important in today's world, and I think things have changed a lot. I think since I was in school, that's the impression I get doing STEM outreach and stuff now. I think it's a lot more respected as a subject, taken a bit more seriously, given a bit more funding.
I've
But
seen
I think it's wild,
Velociraptor saying coding is very self-teachable though, and to an extent, I agree. You can teach yourself how to code fairly easily. There's a lot of resources for it online and loads of good places to go to. However, the problem with that is if you self-teach yourself bad habits, then that's just not something that you can kind of easily get out of. And there are a lot of bad habits that you can fall into.
That's the thing. You can teach yourself the knowledge, but not the best practices. Particularly in something like C, or C++, where it's just the Wild West, and it will gladly just let you delete your own operating system. It's like
Russian roulette.
Really, yeah.
Random number. if equals like whatever. Delete system 32.
Oh, running so much better since I deleted that System 32 virus. But yeah, like I think you do need some level of structure. I mean, obviously, I did GCSE and A level. But the weird thing is you get taught the concepts. You don't get taught anything about like actual good practices, how to work in a team, anything about version control. You don't get taught to code. You get taught how computers work. And how coding works, and how which is obviously really useful knowledge to have, but you don't get taught to code. And I had a lot of friends tell me that a lot of computer science degrees are actually quite similar, and you don't actually get taught to code. I don't know what you think about that.
I would agree. Like I said, when I got into this job that I am in now, the first 2 months was kind of going over how to code and how to actually do it to an industry standard, rather than being like, oh yeah, I know like the syntax of Java, and I know kind of like I know the basics of like operated OOP, whatever that stands for, object-oriented programming. And solid, and like all of those principles and stuff. I knew them, but you never, when I was at university, really put them into practice. That wasn't something you were ever kind of like judged on or gauged on. It was just whether the thing that you were doing worked or not. And they don't care about it at the end of the project, because no one's ever going to see that code again. It's just like, oh yeah, it was a complete mess, but it did what you wanted to at the time. That's great. And version control was a complete mess at university. I actually hated using GitHub at uni, because just the nightmares of merge conflicts happening and no one knowing how to resolve them, and everything just going completely wrong. And luckily, like I think the second week of my job, we did a lot on actually how to use Git properly, and
you have a branching
kind of
strategy,
like branch protection, and all of these features that I never found out about when
everything that keeps N9 from overwriting our entire rebasing all of our commit history. Thing is, at A level, they didn't even mark our code. They didn't even look at our code. Like, we weren't marked on it at all. No, we were marked on the project we did and the end like product. They used it, and that was what we got marked on. They did not look at our code. They didn't performance like benchmark it or anything, which I think is insane. You don't get taught to like debug, like things that you'll spend most of your time actually in the world of work doing, like debugging code, like how to spot particular like common errors and things that are really, really useful in the day-to-day. Education just doesn't teach you. And obviously being self-taught, this is all the things that I got taught. Starting work, using version control. This is a branching strategy. This is a coding standard. This is the C++ 20 standard. I learned C++ 11 and I just kept writing C++ 11. It's like, no, we're using C++ 20. Welcome to the wonders of the format library. And it's like wonderful things that are now included in standard and constexpr. And I'm like, wow, someone like pulled a curtain back.
It makes me think. I was told to try and learn C# recently.
Oh yeah.
For a role that I was going for, and then it fell through. So I was doing C# for all of about 3 days. And you saying that you were doing like C++ 11 instead of doing 20 standard, it just makes me think, because C# and Java are quite similar in their syntax. they're not identical, but you can get away with, for the most part, writing sort of Java code in C sharp. At least that's what I found, and that's what I found myself doing when I was trying to learn it, which was really not a good way of going in and learning it.
That doesn't have a garbage collector, does it?
I'm
does it?
not entirely sure. I believe it does.
Oh, okay.
I think it depends on what you're building it with, because I don't know an awful lot about C sharp, but I know it's pretty much always tied to the .NET framework. You will like nearly always use .NET when you're building an app or whatever in C sharp, and I'm fairly sure .NET covers that functionality, but I could be speaking complete rubbish here.
It's alright, I'm
C
used to
sharp
it.
is just Microsoft Java, basically. Yeah.
It does have a garbage collector. Okay, that's alright.
Yeah.
Oh man, if only C++ had that. I inherited a code base on the last project I was on, and me and one of the other developers who were working on it, we started referring to it as Segfault City. Just memory errors all over the place, leaking memory out the ass. I tried to, usually I use a memory profiling tool like Valgrind to find where all the leaks are and plug them. It had so many leaks, this code base, Valgrind crashed. I think the most leaks it was tracking, the most ever tracked before crashing, was about 17 million separate memory leaks. And this thing, you would run it, and after about an hour on a computer with about 32 gigabytes of memory, it would fill up its memory, and and you'd have to power cycle it. You couldn't even close the application. It was that bad. I'm just like, how are you capable of writing code this awful? Because it was a company we contracted to do it. It was a concept thing. So we contracted another company, a software company, to do this. And it's like, we're all engineers and our code is light years better than theirs. It's written by someone who clearly only knows C, not C++, because they were basically writing C code but in C++.
Yeah.
And also someone who clearly has no idea what a smart pointer is, and it's just raw pointers out the wazoo, but they never freed any of the memory. And it was just what the hell are you doing? This is so amateurish, and we paid you how much money to write this? It's it would have taken us less time for us to just write it from scratch than to get them to do it and then fix it. But obviously management don't understand that.
Do you hire my company perchance? I'm not saying my company's bad, but their model is they basically take people who aren't very experienced and then they train them up in software development, and then they get them to do projects like that.
I highly doubt it was yours, and also I doubt, from what you've said, particularly because you're training and everything, I highly doubt that your company would be quite so incompetent.
Yeah.
I literally said to management, I was like, don't hire them again, really don't. I was like, look, this has taken longer for us to fix this than it would have been for us to just build this from scratch. In fact, you should have just told me to build this from scratch, because I would have done it faster and it would have been better.
Thing is, that's a good reason to use C++, though, isn't it? I think the main reason why you want to use it is because it's so lightweight, and if you handle memory in C++ well, it is insanely good.
It is good
at doing anything.
Makes really efficient applications.
It gives you those tools to handle the memory so that you can do that.
It gives you the rope to hang yourself.
Yeah.
And people do, and I think that's why. Oh, fuel tank has exploded. That's not a good sign. Yuri might. It's 3.5 kilometers away. Oh, it just exploded.
I just saw that on the screen. Is it time to call the
Blunderbirds? Imagine that being Matt Lown's first ever Juno video. Rescuing Yuri from Brigo. Black Eagle. It was 3.5 kilometers away. What do we do about that? Our land has just exploded.
I mean, druids don't have life support, right?
I don't think so. I guess rescue mission? I guess rescue mission. I'm going to find some flatter terrain, and then I guess the next stream we're going to have to go rescue Yuri with a slightly better lander design with space for 2 crew. We could make it automated, but it's more fun, I think, if we have a multi-crew lander. We make its capabilities a bit better. Let's get to some flatter terrain.
I was going to say, do you even have, like, multi-crew capsules unlocked?
No. I do not.
Make the most cursed thing ever, just stack capsules on top of each other.
Don't tempt me, because I will. No,
and
we've got a bunch of tech points. We don't have to return him home to get the tech points. We've completed our contract, so yeah, it's fine. We'll figure
Lord
out a way.
Nichols said, "Congrats on the first Brigo base." It's not even a base because the thing doesn't exist anymore. You've just got one guy on the surface.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can count one guy in a spacesuit a base. I wonder what happened there. It must have like collided with a parallax rock or something.
Didn't just like.
Oh, someone said the rocket was rolling downhill. Apparently, it must have started rolling. Ah, well, you have more crew. Yeah, I do have more crew. You can rescale the 1 crew capsule, apparently, to carry multiple. So I can make like a Gemini-esque thing.
I think you can only do it so far without certain text, though, can't you? I don't know.
I don't know. Guess we'll find out when we go back and look at the tech tree. I mean, we've got a bunch of tech points from doing this mission and from going
just
to
being
top of the...
naysayer here. It's just like, no, you can't save him. He's gonna die.
I mean, we did an almost targeted landing at this landmark, right? I just didn't want to land on the mountain itself, so... Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'll get us to a little bit of flat terrain, which we're almost actually out of the mountains now, back to where our lander was. And then I guess that's going to be the focus of the next stream. But we'll go and have a little look at the tech tree in a minute. You think you might get back into Juno?
Maybe, if I have the time.
So
Time is a very, limited resource at the moment. If I'm not working, it will be either working on Raw Kerbal Kind or Kerbal Gets Real Redux. And if I'm not doing that, it'll honestly just be slobbing out and just playing games to get over work, basically. Like,
that's
I love
something I've
work.
had to rediscover since entering the world of work and leaving uni is just playing games for fun. Having coming home and actually having my time be my own now. Like, I've almost finished a complete playthrough of Fallout New Vegas, which I'd never played through before, which I've been really enjoying. I'm just about to get back into Off-World Trading Company, which is my favorite strategy game of all time. I have all the DLCs for it and I haven't played like half of them. So I've re-downloaded it. I'm really excited to get back into that. Like, I think it's important to make time for yourself.
I mean, the first 3 days that I was off this last week, I went to Bristol to go see my best mate, and all we did from, I think, Thursday afternoon to Sunday night when I left was play Baldur's Gate 3, just to try and beat it on the hardest difficulty mode, split screen co-op, and it was amazing. It was like, I just so needed that. It was awesome. And of course, lots of beers.
Someone just said the stream title says landing, not lifting off to get back home. Absolutely, not false advertising. Lewis, I can't target the lander because the lander isn't there anymore. I had it targeted, and then it rolled down the hill and exploded as I got nearer to it. So we're getting to some flatter terrain, and then we're going to have to send a rescue mission for Yuri because he climbed a mountain and came back and his lander was gone. There was just a smoking hole where it used to be. Righty, right. Velociraptor Trading Company, is that not early access? No, that exited early access years ago. It's almost 10 years old, Off-World Trading Company. It's 8 years old now. It came out of early access yonks and yonks ago. It's feature complete. It has an expansion pack, multiple DLCs. It's amazing. You ever played it?
I've never played it. I've not even heard of it.
You haven't heard of Off-World Trading Company? Oh, man. I feel like I don't want to introduce you to it because you will never have free time again. It's crack to space nerds like us.
No, my free time in the next month is got to go on Planet Coaster 2.
No, it's got to go on For All Kerbal Kind.
That's not free time. That's still technically.
That's YouTubing time, right? Okay.
Yes. Off-World Trading Company.
Have a look it up on Steam. So basically, it starts on Mars, but you also go out to Io, Europa, Ceres. There's a few different places, and basically, it's a strategy game, a competitive strategy game. But you don't attack each other. You don't build units to wage warfare. You wage economic warfare. You're competing private companies on Mars, and so you have to basically like corner markets and do a bunch of economic sabotage and all sorts of like shady stuff and try and buy out your competition. So you can do like campaigns across multiple regions of Mars. You can do there's like story modes and a bunch of sort of DLC campaigns and stuff with different sort of quirks, like limited supply that you've got to manufacture everything instead of being able to buy things from the market. But it's all like each map is different. Like they have different resources are more abundant. Sometimes resources in general are more or less abundant. And you can do like really horrible things. Like you can play as a robotic HQ, so you don't need life support. Then you can go sabotage someone's life support production, and meanwhile you can hack the stock exchange and then drive up the price of life support and just like watch people suffocate and go bankrupt. And it's great. You can do all sorts of just awful, shady economic things like that. And the whole aim of the game is you buy out your competition because there can only be one. Capitalism gonna capitalism. And it's really, really fun. It's really deep as well. Like, it's really ends up being really complex. Like, it's very easy to pick up and play, very easy to understand, only simple production chains. It's not like Factorio. And there's a limit to how much land you can have and how much stuff you can build. But it's very strategic, and it actually ends up being really deep. And the AI doesn't cheat, which I really like. And like Civilization and stuff, like the AI plays with the same rules as you, doesn't get any free resources, but it's really, really good. Like, I've never beaten the AI on normal. I've always had to intentionally they've had to make the AI be worse because it's that good. Absolutely thrashing me. But yeah, you really want to like discover a resource and really get a stranglehold on one resource and just like ransom it off to everyone else. Really like drive the price up. And there's all sorts of sort of fun creative things you can do, and there's like new technologies you can unlock, and you can ship things off world. You can build space elevators. It's pretty cool.
I shall have to look at the trailer.
I think it's on sale at the moment.
Cool. It's not. It's not.
Oh, it was on sale 24 hours ago.
Because
I bought one extra DLC for it yesterday. So the sale's just ended. But it goes on sale quite often. Like, it's not worth the full price, but you can get it with all of its DLCs for like £7 when it's on sale.
What, like £7 each?
No, £7 for everything. It's a complete edition thing.
Really? It says it's like £60 right now.
Yeah, no, it gets reduced like 90%.
Well, okay, I might have to.
In sales, so just add it to the wish list, and when it goes on a big sale, you can grab it for really next to nothing.
Yeah.
The DLCs are good as well.
Things I've played, so I might enjoy it. It's similar to Stellaris and Prison Architect.
It's nothing like Stellaris. Slightly more similar to Prison Architect in a way, I guess.
Really?
Really, it's its own thing. It kind of defies classification.
It breaks boundaries.
Well, it's its own kind of thing. Like the fact that it's an RTS where you don't actually like attack each other. Like, it's an economic warfare RTS. I just think is a really unique thing, and it has multiplayer as well. So if you did get it, we could play it together, and that would be fun. Because I have no one to play it with.
You would screw me over because you've got all this experience.
Honestly, I'm not great at it. After you like did the tutorials and stuff, and played a couple
feel
games,
like this is
you'd
a trap.
be up to speed with me. Honestly, I'm not great. Right. Yuri has found a bit of flatter terrain, so he's going to find himself a nice comfy rock, and he's going to sit himself down, and he's going to get comfortable because he's not going to have a rescue mission for a few days. So, sorry, Yuri. As someone helpfully pointed out, we did say that we would land you, not that we would bring you back. Let's get a nice little zoom out. Poor Yuri.
He
Oh, you
died
can
doing
really
what
zoom
he
out.
loved, running on a space rock.
How many people can you have a multiplayer patron night, perchance? That is an amazing idea, Lags. You can have a lot of people in multiplayer. I think it might be 16 is the limit, but
Okay.
there's an infinite map challenge as well. So let me see. Off-world trading company max players. Oh, it's 8 players. You can buy 4 packs of it. Interesting.
I guess it's like a meant to be multiplayer game.
I thought it was 16, but yeah, it's 8. It's 8 people. Yeah, I've never
So-
actually played it with anyone else. I've only ever played it myself in other campaigns and just had it be quite chill because you can pause it, obviously, and I just sit there, and I love like chill strategy games and stuff like that. I've never really actually played it competitively with other people, but if enough of my patrons have it, that would be a really fun
So,
patron
so
night.
you hear that, chat? If you want to play Off-World Trading Company with Beardy, the Patreon in the description. Go check it out. I'm promoting your own Patreon on your stream. Much better than when Matt Lown came to mine and promoted his.
Oh man, he came on my stream once and promoted his Loot Crate after Loot Crate went bankrupt. We have 252 tech points. Wow. Okay, we have a lot of tech points, so we can really invest in a better lander. So, I was thinking maneuver nodes. I think it's got to be done, right? Like, we want to be plotting rescue missions and things. I've gone far enough just eyeballing everything. I would like some maneuver nodes.
That's
So,
a pretty key tech.
yeah, we're going to grab that. I think we can't do without that, really. So,
Can you
bigger
use Visi without
SRPs.
that?
Sorry?
Can you use Visi to automate like a maneuver without that?
Probably. I just haven't.
No, that's fair. I was just wondering if you could kind of
Yeah,
like
probably.
cheese that tech just by being like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna code it instead.
Okay, so a crew limit is 8. We got a rocket seat, the cockpit, a crew compartment, and a space capsule. So could we have a space capsule with a crew compartment underneath? A limited pressure range to work. Under too much or too little pressure, it will take damage.
So you,
probably not
you
in
don't want to
space.
send that to space.
I want to see if we can put multiple crew members in the space capsule. Otherwise, we might need to unlock a bigger capsule, which we can afford. But I'll have a little look at the build menu first.
You could get the Soyuz capsule.
I could get the Soyuz capsule, yeah. Let me just new craft. Right, how big can we make this?
Not easy being green.
You make it tall. Capacity 1.
Yeah.
I don't think you can put multiple crew in this. Oh, here's the PID control. Yeah, I should probably adjust that for I don't like that its default PID controls are so hit and miss, because I feel like something like Smart ASS like does it so well with such a massive range of craft. I feel like they could maybe have their auto PID be a little bit better than it is, you know? Instead of having to sort of tweak it all manually.
Is it any worse than stock KSPs? I've not used stock KSPs for such a long time because Smart ASS exists.
I would say it's a maybe, yeah, okay, when it works well, it's much better. When it's like it was earlier, it's slightly worse, I reckon. But just the fact that you can tweak it, it's obviously better just because you can make it better. But the auto is leaving a little to be desired. Okay, so yeah, we need a bigger space capsule. Ideally, I don't want to have to be daisy chaining capsules, really.
Why not?
So, crew number 16, Vroz orbital module and space habitat. So, we could do that. So, we could add an orbital module to our current lander. Or we could just have a bigger capsule. I think just bigger capsule, right?
The orbital module, that's just basically it's not a capsule, is it?
Yeah, but you can put. I assume you can put multiple Druids in the Vroz and the Patriot.
I cannot remember, but I would assume the
I might make a save in case I unlock the wrong thing. Let me go back to the main menu. Let me make a save. I can't make a save, apparently. Unless no, this is the campaign. I can't just press save and make it a second save. I'm not sure.
It's forced you into Iron Man mode.
Yeah, I think I might have selected. Well, no, I can quick save though. So I guess there's you got saves in the flight view, but not in the campaign.
Patriot is basically Stuckliner.
Stuckliner.
Wait, so it can take like 7 people? Is that? Starliner can take 7?
Oh,
right?
We'll just find out. There we go.
At least that's what RP1 tells me it can do.
I mean, maximum. Like, that's in an emergency. Yeah, Apollo could take 5. But it never did. Right. Let's throw that away. Okay, we got our Vroz space capsule. How many can you take? 2! Okay, perfect. Yeah, we good. We good. That can take 2. So that's going to be our new lander. Let's have a look at the Patriot. How much can you take? You can take 2 as well. If I make it bigger... Oh, it can take up to 4 if you make it wider. That's nice, actually. You can just make it bigger. It has more capacity. You can squish it down as well.
KSP being like, but no, we can't make things procedural because that's just not good. We can't have people being inventive with how they create spacecraft.
I do kind of get it. Like, it just makes it more... You can throw something together super quick. It's more accessible. Like, I get its adherence to that sort of Lego-esque building approach. But as soon as you're wanting to build replicas of things or anything that doesn't look like crap, yeah, you kind of start butting up against the editor faster. It starts limiting you more than it helps you.
Yeah.
Really. So in Cruel Cobblekine, we're fully procedural now. Like, we even removed all the non-procedural like heat shields from the tech tree and everything.
I don't think I've ever built anything in Cruel Cobblekine that doesn't use procedural parts.
They're just amazing. Just makes life so much easier. You use so many fewer parts as well. It makes it a little less overwhelming to build something. It's just, you know exactly what bits you're going to build it out of, then just adjust it as you go. You know, it's just...
I mean, you say fewer parts, but then you kind of run into what me and N9 do, and we over detail things.
Oh, I don't mean like fewer parts on the craft. I mean like fewer parts to choose from.
Yeah. I think my first stage of like my blue streak has something like 250 parts because I've done the tank with like all of the supporting beams on it, and I think there's like 60 of them around because they're really small. I could absolutely get away with not having to do that, and probably no one notices them ever. But I'm like, no, I need to do it because someone in N9 server told me that it wasn't detailed enough. that actually happened, and I feel really bad. I basically took that to heart. I was like, no, it needs to be more detailed now.
Someone told me that my proton wasn't detailed enough, and I told them to go fuck themselves. So...
I think it's probably the same person.
Well, they said to me, they're like, your proton, to be accurate, shouldn't have fewer than 1,000 parts. And I was like, okay, do you ever want For All Kerbal to come out? Like, on the one hand, I want episodes now, more frequently. On the other hand, you should be spending 700 hours designing a 1,000 part proton that only 2 people will appreciate and will slow your frame rate down to 5 FPS. It's like, you can't have both. You cannot have both. It's good enough to be very recognizably a proton. And honestly, like, with how I went back and redesigned it on the update, where it's got the like the fairing cutouts for the vernier nozzles and stuff, I think it looks great. And if you think otherwise, that's fine. But don't tell me I have to spend 700 hours. If you think that, you do it. You make it. And send me the craft file. If you know so well.
Little back there. Please, send me the craft file. I want it to look beautiful. Not that it doesn't.
So this one's the... So we're using the Spirit engine at the moment. Small orbit and attitude adjustments. So not about power, but precision. I reckon we want this Pixie engine. So it says low power engine useful for second stages of the landing on small planetary bodies. Requires to have some batteries on board, though.
Oh, the electric engine type. I remember that suddenly makes everything a million times better.
Oh, really?
What is it, pressure fed?
Yeah, well, I'm using a gas generator at the moment, but it's
Gas
open
generator.
cycle, obviously. So this would be more efficient than the open cycle. I do love that, though. Like, the progression from open cycle to electric, taking inspiration from Rocket Lab, and then onto the closed cycle. Like, that's cool. Because that's not in KSP. Engines actually use electricity.
They all generate electricity in KSP, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So this one, I'm going to have to factor in that it's going to be consuming electricity as well as fuel, so we'll have to budget for that.
I think
its performance would balance it out, right?
I think the electric use is honestly, you won't even notice it. It's
Okay.
that small, from what I remember.
Right, I think we're going to go for this. It's either that or landing harder for the bigger landing legs. But our landing legs are actually big enough for what we need. I think this is going to make life a lot easier for us. So we're going to go for this one. Okay, I think that's all the tech we need to build a better lander ready for the next stream. Which will be next week, which will be another Thursday. I think Thursday might just become my regular streaming night because Friday nights are just frequently becoming nights I actually go and do things. I'm actually performing in a concert tomorrow night, and then next week I've got like a almost Halloween do. I might just alternate between Thursdays and Fridays depending on what's going on, because Thursday is also like my work social night. But yeah, next week it will be a Thursday like this one. But yeah, I'm gonna save building the rescue lander and the rescue mission for next time. You get to watch me strand a druid today, and then we're gonna try and fix it in the next stream. I love how I open my career and there's a whole bunch of rescue missions here, and it's like I'm gonna go rescue my own druid before I go rescue anyone else's. Here we go, Brigo orbit again. So we get to Brigo's SOI. Yeah, well, we're going to do that anyway. So we will accept that because we're going to be doing it regardless. So I think we did the Brigo flyby contract on that mission. So complete the Brigo orbit, go rescue someone, and then perhaps have a more capable lander. Maybe get a docking port and do it Apollo style in the future. That'd be a bit of fun.
All of your contractors have helmets on. That's not in my game. How have you done this?
Oh, you don't know about this. So this is like my biggest pet peeve with Juno
is that I think it's so much more fun if they just keep their helmets on and they stay mysterious little alien men. The fact that there were humans in the contract portraits, I think, ruined so much of the game's charm.
Yeah.
And I was like, surely it would be so much funnier if he had a space helmet on and then a cowboy hat on top of his space helmet. It's like he's already shielded from the elements. Why does he have a hat? I don't know. It's just funny. And I said that. And it turned out there was quite a fierce debate among the developers because some of them wanted them to keep their helmets on. But the artist who did them as humans because they thought they should be humans. And they drew, the Elon Bezos that gives you the contracts. And enough people thought that was funny that they kept it. But the developer who agreed with me that they should have kept their helmets on just went and made these and sent them to me.
Nice.
And they look great, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they sent them to me, and then this is a custom career, but it's just the default career copied and pasted with the portraits replaced. So I have my own little custom Druid helmet portraits, and I think it makes it a lot funnier. And I think they should really just make it a stock option in the settings, just that you can toggle. Sure, have it humans by default, but you've already got the images. Just make a toggle. Like, the most frequently asked question I get in this stream series is, "Hey, how do you get the the helmet portraits? I want that." And I can send them to people, but it'd be ideal if it was just in the game. It seems to be very highly requested. A lot of people don't like it, same as me.
I'm gonna go at someone on their Discord, just be like, get it put in.
Anyway, thank you for joining me on stream, Karnasar.
That's okay.
For all kind, Fak is back. Should be back next weekend or the weekend after. Fingers crossed. I think it's going to be my episode. It's going to be first, even though I was the one that made the last episode, so it shouldn't be me. But
you have struggles, I might be able to get one out next weekend. I'll have to see how much time I have after work, but I might be able to do it.
I think aim for the 3rd or the 10th. Like, you starting a new job, a new place. Like, just don't fret about it. Like, I think the real aim is get to a nice, sustainable schedule. I think that's what we're heading towards, as long as nothing dramatic happens. N9 doesn't suddenly decide to go dedicate his life to making a new album again. In the immediate future, I think, because I think one episode from each of us every 4 to 6 weeks is very doable. Like, I don't know about you, it takes me a weekend, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, most of those to make a complete episode, recording, editing, and producing. And I might start spreading that across multiple weekends. So just dedicate like Saturdays, 3 out of the 4 weeks to making it, and then that's very doable for me. And then you got the bit of wiggle room in case you've got plans and stuff, those extra 2 weeks. Is that, do you think, doable for you?
I think it is. Yeah. I do know that I
think
can
consistency,
say
right, is much better than necessarily how regular they are.
I was going to say, I know without the shadow of a doubt, the weekend of the 9th and 10th of November, all I'm going to be doing is playing Planet Coaster 2. So that weekend is out for me.
You better get it done for the 3rd then.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry I stranded a Druid. Yeah, it wasn't my fault. It exploded while we were walking back to it. So look forward to next week's stream, which will be Thursday again, when we'll go rescue him. So bye, everyone.